Hello all, and welcome to episode 14 of the LOWBAT Podcast, which I will actually not be a part of. Shout out to Tyler for hosting alongside Casey this episode, while I was off doing some other thing that probably wasn't important. On this week's podcast, Austin and Kyle from the band Longsleeves joined the pod to talk about the beginning stages of the band and some cool tour stories. And we also get a lot of action on the guest mic. Listen to their new single, Crystal Clear, wherever you listen to music. And while you're on your phone, subscribe to the LOWBAT Podcast to catch all the latest episodes. As always, thank you for listening, and here's our chat with Longsleeves.
You are now listening to the LOWBAT Podcast,
a weekly show highlighting members of our local creative community and featuring topical conversations with members of the LOWBAT production team. We're your hosts, Casey House
and Fabian Castaneda. Through our own experiences as musicians, visual artists, and business owners, we saw an opportunity to provide a platform for people just like us to deep dive into what it's like to pursue a lifestyle outside of the norm.
Without further ado, welcome to the LOWBAT Podcast.
What up, everyone? Welcome to the LOWBAT Podcast. We got an interesting episode today. Not only are we joined by not Fabian, but we have Tyler here. Thank you so much for sitting in. Fabian couldn't be here. But we are also joined by Longsleeves, Austin, and Kyle from Longsleeves. Welcome, guys. Thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
So you guys have a new single out, Crystal Clear. I'm curious about a lot involving with the band and the beginning of it and how long it's been. But Crystal Clear, I'm curious about that single. Like, walk me through how long you've been sitting on that, the process of writing it, everything that goes along with that.
Well, the start of the band is something that I think Kyle can explain a lot better than I can. I actually was a late bloomer into it. I was the last member to end up joining in.
Oh, okay.
So Curtis and I, the other guitarist that's here present, were in previously Raleigh Lights, and we had two members that had left the group about November, December-ish. We brought Matt in as a drummer. We had him from a recommendation from one of our friends, Oren, from Spirit Gun. He recommended Matt as a drummer for us. He's been fantastic ever since. We love him. We love everybody we have. And then we got Austin on a wild chance, pretty much. Curtis had said, no one's really knocking down the door to sing for our band. And I said, have you posted anything on Facebook yet? And he was like, no. And I was like, all right, cool. So he does it, and like 7 minutes later, Austin comments, first comment comes in, I think a week later. Pretty much, and that was about January at that point.
Okay.
And then we started rolling from there.
Had you heard any of the music by the time that you reached out?
No. I was like,
we'll see what happens.
I was like, I'll try it. And it was bold. Like, it sounds like a cool idea. Like, let's try it. I wanted to challenge myself to do it because I was like, I miss singing and I miss like being in a band. And I was like, all right, let's try and jump into it. Didn't think about trying to be like, okay, well, let's see like if I can listen to the band ahead of or feel that it's like a good vibe or anything. Mm-hmm. No, but Curtis sent me like 3 or 4 videos of like them just jamming on guitars, like no drums or anything. I was like, well, this is kind of cool. Like, why don't I show it and at least see like what happens?
How much of it from those initial jams without drums, how much carried over? Was there like a drastic change from that to what actually got released or what is being released?
I would say that there's still a lot of relation to what was originally there. Like you can tell that like this song was clearly originally started as this song, but there's been a lot of growth in between. Excuse me, especially over the entire year of being in the studio and getting everything ready for the album and whatnot. They really grew to become really more of themselves fully, I would say, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
They kind of ironed themselves out over time, I would say, but they're all still pretty similar to how they were, but they're a little bit more creative. I would probably the easiest way to explain that.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I personally am a huge fan of what happens in the studio. There's a lot of bands that will walk in with an album and just say, I want you to press record. I'm much more on the like collaboration side. I really want somebody to come in and be like, I'm going to give you all my ideas and let the songs maybe they take on a new shape or whatever ends up happening. Like that's. And I know you guys went to Beasley, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, mm-hmm. We've talked about Beasley so many times on this podcast because everybody we've had on has gone to Beasley in the past or is currently or
a fucking legend himself. Apparently.
Yeah, dude, he's great. He does really really good work.
Yeah, Will's awesome.
So consistent.
Yeah, no kidding. One thing I was trying to figure out on how to like describe you guys was the music style because how would you describe it's really unique. Like the sound. What genre? If you had to pinpoint a genre,
We've argued about this in my living room for like twice a week for the last like 6 months. That's kind of like an overstatement, but like it's hard to kind of pinpoint it. We ended up settling on like grunge pop because it's like it's not very pop punky, but it's also not like super like grunge. Like it's still poppy, and like the aim is like to be catchy but still be like relatable, but also like be completely creative and not just like here's some cookie cutter like pop.
Yeah, I definitely like just following your music career. Would have expected more on the pop punk side because that's definitely where you've leaned in the past. So whenever I heard this, I was like, I like pop punk, but I was very pleasantly surprised. I was like, this is really unique. I think I know that I've listened to it. Fabian has, and he was a big fan of it. Ethan has, and he's really liked it. I don't know if Tyler.
I listened to it like 3 times today. And it's really good.
Yeah,
it's
right
really
now only
good.
Crystal Clear is out, but there's a release plan for the album, or is there a single coming soon, or what's the plan?
Or is it cool to talk about the plan? I believe so.
The plan?
Yeah, no,
There's an
we're
actual
gonna
plan?
drop it all in like 6 weeks.
Really? Okay.
shit.
Just one big. Here's everything.
We're just gonna throw everything at it.
Ooh, that's exciting.
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
I'm super excited. We didn't
Like-
as a whole band. We've constantly like wanted to steer away and not be like the big things coming or like flooding like your local Facebook pages for like here's this thing that's coming out. 10 more days.
Yeah.
9 more days.
It's going to sound really ironic in a sense, but we found a lot of the pandemic lockdown to be a blessing in disguise almost. We intended at the beginning of the year last year to keep it under wraps and release everything at once and just be like, here's our product, take it as it is. You know, here's the band. Even at the same time, we're going to announce everything at once.
Yeah.
And then the lockdown happened, so we really had that time to work on everything. We met twice a week, and we would practice every single week. Curtis and I would practice at his house on Saturday nights and write more material for the songs. And it really became beneficial for us in that sense. We also have like music videos and 3D imagery and modeling and characters and stuff like that. So yeah,
That's sick.
we did a lot of work to make sure that our product really translates to every realm of media and every person as well. So there's something for everybody.
That's always that's been a consistent thing I've been curious about throughout us doing these podcasts with other musicians, or we've had different types of people, but it has been mostly musicians because that's what we connect with the most. But people's decisions on whether to release or not release throughout COVID, like how it's affected, and it's pretty consistent that everybody's been happy. Like it's like it seems really awful at the beginning, and it's like all of our plans are ruined. But then you realize how long we're gonna be in this, and everybody took the opportunity to like really learn and try new things and expand upon. And obviously, you guys made a bunch of material that you may not have had without COVID.
Yeah, definitely. And especially because all of the guys in the band kept the mindset of, you know, even though we don't know when the end is in sight, we know that there is eventually going to be a finish line. So we just kept that mindset of we're going to have a deadline for when we're going to drop this stuff so that when we get on the road, we have it ready. People have already heard it and we can get our name out and actually promote our music that way. So it really did come as a benefit for us.
Yeah. I think it's also interesting, the idea of how you're releasing it instead of doing we're going to build it up, especially as like a newer band. I think it's actually a really interesting and smart idea to just be like, here it is. Here's what we're about. Digest the music. This is everything we have right now. We're working on other stuff. We're going to go play shows, assuming that's an option whenever that happens. And it's just like, instead of building up hype for something that people have, I mean, realistically, no reason to care about. You know what I mean?
They can't really go to any.
That's the hard part. Like coming out as a new band, like that's why it felt kind of, I wouldn't say annoying, but it's like it doesn't capture anybody's attention for a new band. Like nobody's ever heard of you. And it's just like, here's like a countdown. Here's all these things. Here's all these teasers. And like, I do appreciate the artistic ones that are like really clever, but I also love being able to like binge new media. Like if there's a new show that came out and I'm into it, I want to watch the whole thing in like 3 days. And we kind of took on that same mindset with the album. Like if somebody's really feeling it, I don't want them to have to wait like forever. Like drop the whole thing. Let them get obsessed with it.
This is actually giving me a lot of new interesting thoughts too on it, because if you don't capture somebody with, let's say you have a full length and you release 3 singles, if those 3 singles don't capture the person, it's harder to get them to listen to the whole album whenever it drops. Versus one single that maybe, let's say, captures most of the people. It's like, okay, this is one thing. You drop the whole album, there's a good chance they're going to just press play and let it do its thing. So especially if it's conceptual. Is there any sort of running concept or a theme across this album?
There's a lot of theme of like self-accountability and growth and just going through a lot of change very quickly in the album. Like there's a lot of recurring themes that it'll take you on like a little journey. Like it's going to start and it's going to certainly end. And it's all talking about like personal growth, but like holding yourself accountable to still try and do better.
Yeah, there's a lot of elements of growth of identity and self-discovery. There's a lot of moments that are just truly to be of, I've been there before, you know, like I've been in these shoes before, you know, what happens with life or death, with growth and decay, and love and loss is a lot of the things that can be covered within the songs. But the songs also, too, can be taken in multiple ways. So you could think about it being like, oh, this is a love song dedication, or this could be something that's different. And it really depends on what what the listener, I should say, what the listener hears and what they feel from the song, so they can really take it in for themselves.
Okay, yeah, those are my favorite types of lyrics. The ones that are interpretable, or the ones that are hyper. Just here's the point. The in between gets mushy, but I definitely like it whenever there's like, here's a story, but it's very interpretable. Those are what I lean towards more than the like hyper. Like here's the story about this specific person who broke my heart, and you know what I mean. Like if it's interpretable, there's so much more you can pull out of it. Yeah. I love that stuff. So you guys have all, I assume, been in previous projects. I've known Austin for a very long time, but I'm actually meeting the rest of the guys for the first time. So everybody's been in past projects, and has everybody toured or?
Matt
yeah.
Francis.
Oh, really?
Matt Francis has got plenty of tour stories.
So, okay, well, this is something that I usually do a little later on.
Get this man a mic.
My favorite thing to do that I've been doing is asking about craziest tour or show story that just comes to mind. And I really want to get that perspective from everybody. They're not on camera, but we do have everybody off. So because you guys are on, I'm going to throw it to you guys first. You guys have a little bit of extra time to think. And then there's a mic over there. But Austin, we'll start with you. What's your crazy story that comes to mind?
I went on like a 6.5 hour road trip with my car blowing a radiator halfway through it and then still finishing it.
Oh God!
We went up. This is while I was in a hardcore band for a little bit, but I went up to Richmond. Like I think we played a show up there, and then immediately that night we just left and we went straight down to Georgia for a date, right in Atlanta. And it was this. I guess this kid's mom was like a realtor or something. But there was this house that had like for sale signs in front of it, but it was like, all right, this is the venue. And like we went down and this whole bottom of this house is destroyed. Like think like Tony Hawk, like skateboard level. Like all the walls are destroyed. There's graffiti everywhere. This place was sweet. we get down there, it's completely empty, and then there's just randomly this little nook that's filled with huge venue size fucking PA speakers, and it's like professionally like set up for sound, and like I was like, this is gonna be great. This is awesome.
And was it great?
It was fun. We played that show. It was really fun. On the way back, there was this river on the way back from Georgia, so we pulled over. There's a fireworks stand on the way to the river, so we bought a ton of fireworks. And then when we all got to the river, we went swimming. A couple of the guys in the band got like leeches on themselves.
Oh my God.
This is way more involved of a story than I thought it would be when you just said I blew a radiator on the river.
Yeah.
That happens afterwards. We go home and I drop one of my friends off, and then I realize like, oh shit, like my car is overheating. This is insane. So I'm like, all right, well, how do I fix this? I'm here like Googling how to fix an overheated BMW on the side of the road. End up pulling into Walmart, getting the water, like the distilled water or whatever that you have to put in, and just trot my way back home. It was a weird like 36 hours.
So the you kind of walked right past the leeches part of it.
Really?
What like was everybody just like, oh gross, and just picked them off?
They got them before they attached, I think.
Okay.
Like, I think there was like one of attached, but like as he started messing with it, he like got off.
Oh my God. That's terrifying.
So quick fourth wall break. I knew this was going to be brought up, just tour stories, and I'm very surprised that something beat Dunkin Donuts.
Oh,
Does that count?
That's ironic, actually.
It's not a tour story; it's a show story. But I mean,
I
feel
don't
like
care. That was
it's
still the
tour or
weirdest.
show.
That's still the weirdest shit I've ever been like a part of, or just seen happen. Like
That,
within a short
I love
span of
Casey's
time.
intro in that.
I can share the story if you guys want, just like the quick version.
Oh, we can add to it too.
I would love to hear another perspective. So I saw on Facebook that Austin posted about a show at Dunkin Donuts. So I texted him. I was like, "Yo, for real?" And he was like, "Yeah, come through." So I went there. And I showed up before any of his band was there, and it was this other band that was touring called Waters Deep, and they were there in this like little nook. It was just like a separate little section of Dunkin Donuts, and they just had their cabs, and they were just like kind of playing guitar, and they were setting up drums and stuff. And I was like, "Oh, cool! This is cool. Like, where's the PA?" And they were like, "Oh, we don't have one, so we were just gonna run vocals through this cab." And I was like, "That's not gonna happen." So I hit up my friend Jared, and I went over there, and we grabbed his PA setup, and we ran sound for the show. And because of that, then Ethan walked up and was just like, "All right, what's happening?" Initially, I guess I didn't even know this part or didn't realize, but he asked me like, "What's going on?" And I told the story. And then he went, "Hold on," and he went and got his camera, and then came back and said, "All right, do that again." And then I explained it again, and that's now the intro to that video. But what's your perspective of it?
The fun thing I can add to that story is Curtis and I ran the venue that they were supposed to play at and didn't.
Oh,
Yeah, it was like 100 degrees in there with no air conditioning. It was in like a warehouse for a shea butter factory, and it was like,
That's a venue also.
it was
Solid.
It was,
Yeah.
but basically, the show that we played prior or hosted prior, there had been an ice cream party, and one of the bands had just brought a bunch of like popsicles and stuff in a cooler, and that worked for like an hour and a half. But then it got to like 9:30, 10 o'clock, and it was still hot, and people were like laying down, like,
oh, no.
because it was so hot,
Yeah.
and no one, like, very intimate performances, I would say, because the audience was just all on the floor and listening very quietly. But we realized that day we went in there and it was even hotter, and we were like, yeah, we have to tell the guys we can't have it. We're looking out for the safety of the people that want to come and the bands themselves, and then luckily, we found out that they were at Dunkin Donuts, and I was fingers crossed. I was like, man, I hope they're not like, oh, this place sucks because their AC doesn't work, so we got to go over to Dunkin Donuts. But it turned out to be like one of the coolest things I've ever seen.
It was such a stupid thing that happened, but it was so fun, like to see people playing in Dunkin Donuts.
Yeah.
It was a whole moment of just like complete fuck it. It was like, all right, our show got canceled. Like, fuck that. We're going to play a show. Like, we're going to go somewhere. And it was like, all right, we need somewhere that we can plug stuff in and that we can make noise loud. And this touring band gave us a text message back in our group chat, and they were like, yo, the Dunkin Donuts across the street said that they do it.
Yeah.
And we're like, word, let's go. Let's show up. No, we have no equipment. There's no sound. We didn't even like shoot a finger out to like ask for sound or like send any messages, but like everybody pulled through, and then like a music video came out of this. And I was like, it was the most like spontaneous event that I've seen, like with how many people had to contribute into it.
Yeah, that was one of the most fun, in not even being a part of it. That was one of the like most fun, just random days and shows that I've been to. I was just like, I'm in a Dunkin Donuts. If it was a Krispy Kreme, I would have been happier because their donuts are better.
Way better.
I didn't even get any donuts. I went to the counter and looked at them, and I was like, Dunkin Donuts is trash. I
They
don't
get
want
their
any
donuts frozen, actually.
Oh.
Yeah.
Like eat them while they're frozen.
No, they come delivered
Okay.
frozen. They're not made in
All right,
store.
look.
That's why they're not that good.
That wasn't that dumb of a question. People eat desserts frozen.
That's true.
Oh, the
That's
Domino's lava cakes.
frozen donut?
The Domino's
Facts.
lava cakes.
Facts.
Have you ever done that?
No.
Well, I guess actually you can't, can you? Because
You can order it and just ask them to uncook it or like send it uncooked.
Yeah.
Can you really?
I don't know. I've never
can.
tried it, but I imagine you can.
Yeah. So you just take them, and instead of putting them through the oven, you just don't.
Word?
They are.
Yeah.
They are. It is pre-cooked. Like it's pre-cooked like cake, and
Yeah,
it's just like cold,
it's like a hard fudge
chocolate.
brownie.
Yeah. So you just eat it. This shit's so good.
I worked there for like 2 months when I was 18, and that's probably the only takeaway I had from that is that you can do that, and it was worth it.
I worked there for 4 years.
Oh my god.
My life, man.
No, go ahead. Say your number, Austin.
I was there for like a year and a half, like
Really?
maybe 2 years. I've been at like my current job much longer. I had that period where I skipped and just went bartending for like a couple years, and that was pretty fun.
Maybe that's just selection bias on
Yeah.
my part, where like 80% of the people I knew just worked at the same Domino's at one time for
everybody
a
worked
while.
there.
Jeez, wait.
I forgot you worked at the oceanfront too. There was that bar. I distinctly remember going there one time and you threw me a Red Bull.
Yeah.
And I don't like Red Bull and I didn't ask for it. But I was just
You
like,
drank it out of
cool,
respect,
thanks.
didn't
Oh,
you?
yeah, I had like half and I was like, this is just not
All
good.
right.
But I was like, thanks.
We could do what we wanted there, and I was like, I see someone I know, like, I'm gonna try and help them in any way that I can, because I was like, this job sucks.
That was not I am not cut out for a loud bar. If I'm working, sure, but going and hanging out at a loud bar is just not for me.
It depends. Sometimes it's fun. I guess it's like a vibe.
Yeah, I don't like yelling over. It's
no,
annoying
I
because
don't like
it's like I do the same thing at shows, but at shows I'm usually very silent. I just like kind of sit and mind my business and then enjoy the bands. But when people walk up and they're like, "Hey, do you know?" I'm just like, stop talking to me. We can't talk right now. All right, so your story.
Okay, so in my past band with Curtis, and I believe Matt, you went to Raleigh with us, correct? No, before that. Okay, so Curtis and I were in our band, and half of the members decided they didn't want to go play this certain show, and we decided we were going to do it, and it was in Raleigh, and we did it. But before that, we had a show at Tap House, and that was on a Thursday night. Then we drove down to Raleigh for the show on Friday night. The thing about that was Thursday night was Halloween. Friday night was obviously November 1st. So we were getting ready to play the show at Tap House. I come dressed in my costume for fun. No one else did in the venue at all.
Oh
no!
And I'm dressed as the Joker, so I'm awesome. I'm just automatically a clown by myself. And then it gets better because we go to the show in Raleigh the next night. And when we get there, it turned out there was a severe thunderstorm in Raleigh the night before on Halloween. So the city of Raleigh decided to host Halloween the next night. So we get there, and we're the only people not dressed up.
Oh my God.
And I love dressing up, and I lost my opportunity, and it was really bad. But we played the show, and it was great. Unfortunately, halfway through the show, half of my pedal board just turned off. And I don't do well under like intense pressure like that, so I got like really quiet and stonewalled, and then we finished the show. I like panicked and just like left, went back to the car in the parking garage, came back downstairs, and I was fine. And then I saw a guy dressed as Macho Man Randy Savage, and my night got even better.
Hell yes.
But then we had to come back because Saturday was, I like to do cosplay stuff. So I don't know if anyone's familiar with NecoCon. It's a convention in Hampton. I went there. So we backtracked. It was like 3 a.m. from Raleigh back up here so I can dress up. Reggie and I go do that, go to the convention together. And then Saturday night, we went back to Tap House to play another show. So the entire time I just kept my Joker makeup on, and it was really fun. And not as cool as Austin's story, but that's probably the wildest thing that I've done.
That sounds way more fun.
I was gonna say yours involves NecoCon, so I'm honestly just more interested right from there.
Cool.
There's a big thing also with I learned from playing shows that the anxiety and adrenaline that happens while playing a show. I would never do anything about it. I would get off stage and just like sit with it and just like live in it. And then there was one show where like some things just didn't go that great. And so it became like more frustration. And I went and sat in my car for like 15 minutes and I just scrolled on Instagram and like mindlessly just like relaxed. Brand new day. I felt so much that I added that to like, that's what I do.
Yeah.
I get off stage, I break down my drums, and then I go sit in my car for 10 minutes.
Oh, yeah, it was great.
And it's just, that changes everything. I'm just like, all right, I feel great.
The best part was I'd never been to Raleigh before, and I didn't know where I was going, so I just left, and then I found myself in a parking garage, and I was like, I think we're on the 7th floor if my car's there, and I got to the 7th floor, and lo and behold, I'm in the right parking garage. So I just go in the car and did exactly that, and then Curtis was talking to, I believe, Reggie outside of the venue, and like, we don't know where he went. Curtis was like, I have a feeling I know where he is, and they found me in like 5 minutes, and I was just fine. I was like sitting in the car, I was like, hey guys, how you doing? He's like, you all right? And I was like, yep. And then we went right back down there.
Just
and then
decompressing for a second.
Yeah, and then I saw a bunch of Halloween wrestling costumes, and they were very inebriated running across the street. And I don't know who the champion was, but I'm going to go with Randy Savage on this one.
That's safe to assume.
Cream of the crop.
All right, who we got next? Who's ready with a story? Anybody? Let's do it. Let's hear a story.
Get this man a mic.
Hey.
Hello.
Hey.
I've never played a Dunkin Donuts or anything, but I realize I've had like really bad luck with bassists in my life.
Shit.
I feel
trying
that.
to think of like a good tour story. We had just like a 5-day like regional kind of like long weekend thing booked, and our bassist backed out 2 days beforehand.
Nice.
So that was fun. But my favorite is actually a hero bassist story, because we ended up booking, we were going through New York and hitting up all the venues, you know, can our little crappy band come in and play? And like 2 venues got back to us, and we were able, and they were only like 6 blocks from each other. So I was like, sweet, we can play 2 shows in New York, like on the same night. We'll do a double header.
Yeah.
I never felt more like a rock star. Like coming in, we have one show at 9, take all our gear up and play at 11. Well, we get in at our first gig, and it is just packed, which is weird for every time I've ever played New York. Like no one wants to be out at bars, and they're always like behind a paywall, you know, like where you go in and there's like the bar, but then to actually see the show, you have to like actually go through the door and pay more, so you don't really get any bleed over. Well, this was just packed, and as soon as this band finished, like everybody left. And except for two really cool, enthusiastic guys who are the band after us. So we play, and also our publicist who was promoting the tour came out to see us for the first time there. So it was us playing to just our publicist and this duo, and then my bassist, his top string, the E string, right? Is that the top string?
Yeah.
It's snapped while we were playing, like pretty early on in the set. Well, he didn't have any backups, so I'm looking over, and this guy, this is the first of 2 shows, and he's got to do all of his bass lines on a different string, which I imagine is pretty hard. I mean, I don't know, but so that was basically catastrophic, and then we broke the duo's heart because they were there to see us, and we were like, oh, I don't want to be a dick, but we got to leave to go to our next show, and then also try to find bass strings along the way, which did not happen in the Bowery or wherever we were. So yeah, that was,
Man.
most of my stories are just playing in front of like 3 people somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
And, yeah.
But
That is by far the most common.
Those are the
those-
memorable ones for me.
I always wonder though, are those shows where like you have like 5 or 10 like people that you just know really want to be there and see what you have to do? Are those not better in some ways?
Oh, I mean, my philosophy is there are no bad shows. I mean, you got to play, which is that's the best way I can spend a night. But I always find that you can connect with someone. Sometimes it's just the bartender who's giving you free PBR, so you give him a big tip at the end of the night. But you can always make some human connection that always makes it worth it, whatever you're doing. So
That's a good take.
How hard did that dude break in the top string?
Yeah, that's got to be nuts.
Like that's a problem that I have never thought of. I would never think
he now
bring-
travels with backup strings forever.
Live and
Actually,
learn.
I need
So
to buy more strings.
yeah.
My better string. Do something. Like, what strings are you using? Where you break the top bass string?
Was it like the strings that came with the bass, and they're just
Yeah,
been on
right.
it for 13 years? The tetanus finally rode away.
Jesus.
All right, we got another story coming.
Hey,
With the Bandit Keith.
How are you?
Let's go.
Doing good. How you doing?
I'm doing well. So my crap story, I guess, or weird thing what's happened is breaking strings is just a reality. Like, it's just a part of what happens to all of us. And one of 2 things is going to happen. It's either going to be like freak out, oh my gosh, and just have this thing like kind of flopping here, or you have something at the low ready and you're like, all right, this is going down. So we were playing up at the Cobra Club up in Brooklyn, New York, and Crystal Ashley, she had booked it, and we were actually there because a guy from this band called For Lack of a Term, his name was Arthur, he hit us up and said, hey, I actually think they were supposed to be on that Dunkin Donuts show. I actually think they were one of the bands. Yeah. And then I had to call them, and they were like on 95 or something somewhere in Virginia. And he was like, oh, it's no big deal. We'll just go to like Lynchburg or something. Or they went to some town in the western part of the state. And but he hit me up later and was like, oh, yeah, we're doing this Holiday Rager up in Brooklyn. Like, you guys trying to get in on this? And I was like, oh, I feel really bad because, we kind of let you down. He was like, oh, no, it's not like that. Don't worry about it. Can you be here? And I said, well, yeah. So the band, we burned up to New York and everything like that, and it was super cold. And we were up there, we were playing the show, and I wanted to roll light because they had stuff that was backlined. And so I was up there with my guitars doing my thing. I think we had like 1 or 2 songs left, and of course, guess which string on my guitar decided to take a dive. It was the G string. And it's really crucial to what I do. And so luckily, I had spares. And so I just kind of looked at my favorite baby doll, Kyle, to do something. And then Zoe, our bassist, she started doing something, and Matt just kind of like pulled this groove. And our singer at the time, I don't remember what he was doing, but they did this really super seamless, like beautiful jam that was like really distractionary, but so much because like Matt was just saying earlier, with shows up in major cities like New York, there was only like 5 people in the audience in addition to the bands that were there and stuff like that. But that was kind of like I'm like super proud and stuff like that. And I was able to get the string, and then we were able to get right back into the groove, and then we finished the set. And I mean, that was pretty cool. So
you managed to, in the middle of playing, break a string and change the string.
Yeah, I did.
Wow.
That's like surgery. God damn.
I trained for that stuff.
He was notorious for like every practice at one point during the summer of that year was like a broken string and then a different broken string.
A lot of practice.
Yeah, so I got really good at just being able to do that. So
he picks hard.
I don't think it's like really like that, like harrowing or anything. I don't think I'm matching Austin in like intensity there. But I don't know. It was the guy from the other band, for lack of a term. He came up to me, the guitarist. He was like, "Oh man, bro, I'd have just froze up, or I'd have just played it like how it was, man. I don't know how you did it, and man, that was really impressive." And I was like, well, they've saved me before, so I was just really lucky that my band was on the same page with me. He was like, "Oh yeah, totally, bro." So
yeah, that's nuts.
Speaking of band being on the same page with them when strings break, to pull it back to a way old previous project that Ethan was a part of, way back in the OG low score days, we had a bad string of like, I think it was like 5 shows in a row that our guitarist, like Chris, had broken the same string on his guitar like 5 times in a row, and we were not on the same page about it. I remember Ethan like just tearing this dude up to the point where they teamed up, and like Tony Stark like dropped solder into like his bridge so the string wouldn't break.
Oh my god.
On top of stringing it backwards. But it worked. It didn't break after that. So like I could say that's wild all day, but it worked.
That actually reminded me of a time where, from a drummer's perspective, I broke a drum head. I've broken a snare head before, and like I think just a snare head and then a kick drum. Snare head I don't even really remember. The kick I do. I was playing a benefit show for somebody, and it was our first song, I think, and the band that I was in had a lot of double bass. It was like very crucial to what we were doing, and I'm doing my thing, and my right beater just goes straight through. Left beater, fine. And it actually still was like intact. It made a very precise hole. So it happened, and I was like, well, and I kept playing, and I started making stuff up with the floor tom to like make it make sense, sort of. We finished that song, and we played to a click. I paused it, and there's like 100+ people in this room, because there was like 11, 12, 13, 15 bands. And so there was a bunch of people there, and I was just like, hey, there's a lot of drummers here. Anybody have a bass drum I can borrow? Because I just broke mine. And all I heard was, oh, nobody.
It's like going outside to get your cigarette lit, and everyone else is smoking cigarettes, but no one happens to have a lighter somehow.
Like I was, and I knew so many of these people too. Nobody wanted to help me out, and I was just like, all right, that's cool. Fuck y'all. And I played the rest of the set with one foot, and it was my left foot, which was a nightmare. But I made it happen.
Plays in the distance.
I'll always let people use my stuff, but I would be lying through my teeth if I ever like didn't have that fear, or like the second you're like, yeah, it's cool, man, like go for it, and then immediately in your head you're like, he's gonna break every single thing. He's gonna change all my settings. All this is gonna be just completely screwed.
Yeah, I mean, drums, I guess, are a little different. It's 50-50 because there's not settings to mess with, but you're hitting them. You're hitting the thing. They're gonna break. I remember one time, I won't say who, but I let we were playing a show that was at Shaka's, and it was gonna be 6 bands. Then it became 7. Then it became 8. Like 2 days before. Yep,
Sounds
still,
like Shaka's.
Still a normal show. And it was a big headliner. It sold out and all this stuff. And there were
sticky floors.
Yeah,
forever.
no kidding. And there were 3 locals. Whenever I got there, the promoter Mark came up to me and he was like, "Hey, look, man, shit's crazy. I need you guys to all decide what gear you're gonna use and backline that gear. All 3 local bands have to use the same shit." And I was like, looked at the other bands. We were like, all right, well, we have by far the best gear, admittedly. So we were like, all right, we'll put our stuff up there, I guess. And one of the drummers played with neon sticks, painted neon sticks. That got everywhere, all over my kit. I was so upset about that. I was like, man, I wiped it down before we played and everything, and then our set got cut short because the other 2 bands went over.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Shaka's was fun. We played my first band that I was a part of when I was like 16, played a headline show, our first headline show, but it was Sand Soccer Week, so no one was there. And then we were like going to get paid for it, but since nobody came, we ended up just breaking even and nobody got paid anything. And then we brought all our gear up because the elevator was notoriously always broken.
Never worked.
And then we got up there and they were like, yeah, don't worry about it. So like half of us had to go take our stuff back downstairs and like go back down through the staircase and everything with like 4x12 heads or cabs and stuff like that.
Yeah, going up and down the stairs, especially whenever we got a I forget the size. It was like
big old
6 or 810 bass cab.
Yeah.
Fridge.
Oh my god, man! Carrying that up those stairs was a nightmare.
And they turn, so you have to like pivot.
I was always the like business, I guess, side of the band.
Yep.
So I would walk in and be like, "Hey, I'm gonna go talk to the promoter and handle money and tickets and all this stuff. Y'all have fun." So I got away with not carrying that stuff a lot of the time, but I did have to carry my drums.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. Speaking of shows, I know you guys kind of mentioned it. What's the plan with the band? What is the goal, I guess? Are you looking to just play occasional shows and keep work and living your lives, or is this the like you guys want to hit the ground running and like quit your jobs and do the band?
That would be amazing. Like that's kind of that's the end goal. Like we're all kind of invested. Like that's the dream, right? To have this be like our primary source of income.
Mm-hmm.
And it's weird having like everybody on board for that, because I've always been in bands where there's usually like 1 or 2 people that are like gung-ho and they're like super invested. They book all the shows, like they do all the work. This is the weirdest group because it's like everybody does that. And it's like, all right, well, we got 4 like band captains here, and it's like gung-ho. Like Curtis has it to the point where he has an exact number. As soon as he can make this amount of money per month, he quits his job.
Whoa.
Yeah. Curtis and I have the mentality of, we were upset when we left that New York show because we wanted to go from like, all right, we finished up in Brooklyn, time to head to Boston, next show, not head back home and, go have the post-show depression blues of the rest of the week not doing anything. I'm, like Austin said, gung-ho, ready to go. Like the moment that we can take off, then I'm ready to take off. But of course, I respect my bandmates and their families and their lives and stuff. So it's really as, like Austin said about Curtis, like, once it gets to a certain number that is ready for us to make that move, I think we're all probably going to make that move.
Hell
and
yeah.
try to move forward with it.
Yeah, it's a weird market right now.
I'm sorry. It's kind of it's very much not any of my business, anyone's financial situation. So feel free to not give me a number. But like what are kind of like the markers of like, yeah, it's time?
I'm very bougie with myself. I treat myself in every way, shape,
girl,
and form.
let's do it.
So
Let's go.
My number I have not thought about because I'm like, I want to make as much money as I can.
I would imagine it's pretty much whenever it equals or surpasses your current. It's like, all right, now like I can continue to live the way that I live currently, but do this.
That'd be
Makes
fantastic.
sense. Security is a tough one with that stuff. You have to like, it's just weird because like shows, especially after COVID, like who knows? And it was already heading in a direction of like local shows not really being that prominent, especially here, and like things like Warped Tour and like moving tours not really being as prominent, and it's more like festivals and stationary events. Like that seems to be where the money is and where the market's moving. But that's tough because there's a lot of places that you just don't get to go see if that's the case. So
I don't know, I feel like after everyone being locked up for, I guess, going on 2 years now, it's there's going to be so much more emphasis on like local shows. People are just going to be excited to be outside.
I think house shows
More
are going to
than
be more of a
anything.
thing.
Oh, I hope so.
Yeah, house shows were always some of my favorite things to play. The big sold out like local venue shows or whatever are cool, but there's something about like 30 people in a living room that just it's just so much fun. Like you can be it gives me the vibes of like whenever like I first started going to shows in like the mid 2000s or whatever, where it was like it could be a all local, like every band's their first show and they all play like shitty Gibson SGs and they're in drop G. And you go on stage and you just go, and everybody starts fighting and stage diving, and it's just utter chaos. And there's 400 kids at a random show.
Yeah.
Like, that's the vibe that it gives me, even though it's 30, because it's like tiny little living room, and it's going to be loud as hell.
Oh, yeah. So. I've had a unique one. I had a friend of everyone in the band, I think, Karen Estrella. She's a great person. She's in Padfoot. One of the last shows I went to before the pandemic and everything happened was a house show that she was hosting. And it was really cute because she would have a bunch of her friends come up and play different songs and open mic it. But then she also would give out a bunch of toy, like children's instruments. Give them out to everybody so they could all play with them and interact with the songs and stuff. And then she gave out Valentine's cards of Star Wars at the end. And she was really sweet because at the end she was just like, if anybody got Kylo Ren, can I please trade you for it? Because I've been really waiting to have that one and it would maybe make me happy. So we all made sure that she got it for her. But it was like you said, like it was about 30 people in a room sitting on the floor with a bunch of toys and like Dirt Devil vacuums, like mini hand vacs, and playing with those and stuff. But it was one of the, like, I didn't know more than 3 people in the room, but it was like so much fun.
Wholesome fucking thing.
It was adorable. Shout out to Karen.
It's just like it's all the energy of a really good show without any of the stress, excluding the person hosting it. I'm sure they're stressed out because that's their house. But for me, just going to somebody's house, it's like I didn't have to sell tickets. I didn't have to worry about turnover and all this stuff. It's just like, no, just go play a show. It doesn't matter. Things aren't working. It's a house show. Just be loud.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is great. I didn't get to play that many. I think I played 4. And it's only at 2 houses, 2 at one, 2 at another. But yeah, house shows I think that's at least at the beginning going to be the way to go because a lot of the venues unfortunately weren't able to hold out.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that house shows will start picking up, and because of that, venues will start popping back up again.
Yeah. Once it's safe, like across the board, and like things have gone down, of course, and I feel comfortable enough to go out and like hang out in a grocery store for 5 minutes or something like that before that, then it's definitely going to be like all hands on deck. Like I'll be ready to play as much as I can at that point because I missed it for so long too.
Yeah, no kidding. It's crazy how long it's been, and I really miss going to shows. I know that you play at church. I don't know if you play anywhere else or have, but have you had any like instruments cutting out, strings breaking, any like anything like that?
So I play keys and like organ and stuff. So like on a lot of keyboards there's always like pre-made like rhythms and sounds and stuff. So like the most terrifying thing is you go to change what you're playing and you end up hitting the wrong button and there's just this random fucking pounding 4 on the floor thing that goes off in the middle of a service. And it's happened. It's just like it happens and you just change it back and you just pretend that nothing you just pretend nothing happened. The preacher just looks at you, is just like, good, all right, bet, and just goes right back to doing what they were doing, and you just don't acknowledge it until afterwards when everyone flames the shit out of you. But it's fine. It's okay. It's good.
There's a whole world of church shows, I guess, or you know what I mean, like that. I didn't know anything about until the last guest that we had on, very prominent in playing in church groups, and like they talked about how like everything is run by like signals, like hand signals and head nods and shoulder movements and stuff, and like that's how everybody stays together. I could never. I for like 3 years, it was like I'm playing to a very precise click, and I press play, and it's the whole set. it's all on rails. I couldn't imagine just being like, yeah, let's just like do the thing and like we'll feel each other out. Are you guys playing the clicks or gonna be, or how are you guys doing that?
I'm gonna pull the trigger on a whole in-ear set, so we'll have our own front of house mix soon. Yeah. It's just a lot of money.
Do I have information for you,
Daddy
then?
Longsleeves over here? Let's go.
X32.
So yes, so well, not to sell, but we're building out our own too. But for the actual in-ears themselves, I just discovered something called Waves, WAVZ.
Oh, Kyle looks like he already knows. He looks
WAVS.
Like
well, one of those two.
Oh, like the cheaper in-ears that are custom. I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so they use the iPhone camera to get a 3D scan of your ear, so you get custom molded in-ears without spending like mine were. They're dual drivers, so it's not the best in the world, but it's the same as the 215s, and they were $150, and I just got them today.
Wow,
tried them.
150. That's nice.
Awesome. There's the very responsive in this is not a ad, by the way. Though I would happily talk more about you guys if you do want to sponsor us. I have been emailing them about the podcast a bit, but they just like super cool company from what I can see, and I tried out the in-ears, and I only with one day I couldn't recommend them enough. So if you guys are in the market for, I mean, there's like the KZ in-ears. I don't know if you guys are familiar with those on Amazon. You can get those for like $20, and they're all right. But if you want custom molded in-ears and to not spend $700, I would recommend them. It was really, really cool.
Now you got this man thinking like,
oh no, I'm already looking at like the ultimate ears, like sets that are like $1,300,
dude.
Like, and I'm like, oh, I can never afford this, but you look great.
I mean, if you're gonna go that route, I would go 64. Go 64 audio because those are like $650. They start around $650. But I'm telling you, these are custom molded with like you can get better ones too. They have triple driver and I think even more than that.
I need to send in. I got like the molds made of like your inner ear.
Oh, you already did it?
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Horribly uncomfortable process.
Oh, yeah.
It feels like they're like popping your head.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine.
Yeah, no, your ear goes super, super deep and it's horribly uncomfortable because it goes in there. Like it's the length of like at least a full finger down your ear.
No,
there's some
really.
There's some crooks and bends that it goes down, and like for them to get the mold correctly, it has to go down at least 2 bends of your inner ear.
Is that where the term Q-tip comes from?
Q-tip?
It's just the tip.
Oh.
Right.
They didn't recommend Q-tips. They actually yelled at me for
I'm going to get
Q-tips.
that in like 2 hours, and I'm going to laugh, and I'm going to tell Austin that was funny.
Thank you.
Just give me a minute.
So whenever they, you don't have to answer this because it's gross, but I want to know, like whenever they like, all right, it was done and they pulled it out and it was hard and everything, was like
wax everywhere.
No, I don't care about the wax. Don't talk about the wax. That's gross. But like the tube, was it like sticking out to here? like on the thing.
It was like this long.
I feel like you went to a dude on a street.
No, I went to just this dude like
you're just like, yeah, I got this gel. Let me squirt it in your ear real quick.
Yeah.
I got your mold.
You like sound? This about to sound so good.
I swear there's a quarter in there somewhere behind your ear. And just like digging his whole hand in there.
Oh my god.
No, it was ear, nose, and throat doctor.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
No thanks. I'm gonna stick with the iPhone scan. That was really easy to do.
That's fair. It feels like when they were sealed up and whatever like silicone was in there, can't hear anything.
Mm-hmm.
You can like feel like your blood flowing through your ear, but you can't hear anything. It was a really weird process. It felt like being underwater.
Oh my god. So you guys are going to be building out a whole in-ear system and running to clicks, or just in-ears so everybody can hear?
I think running to a click would make sense. That would make it the most consistent.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like it to be like maybe not as sterile as a click. Like if we could even just make up another synth player or something. No click.
No
All
click.
right. That's
So
the decision.
are you the drummer? Yeah. Okay. You don't like playing to a click? I love it. I'm like afraid to. Well, I play way too fast. Every time I play without a click, it's like times 2. I can't help it. That's fair.
Yeah. To touch on what you were saying as well with the gestures and movements from the worship band kind of situation, the benefit that I have from working with Curtis and playing with him every Saturday at his house, and he's who got me back into music. So I've been playing with him ever since I've been back for the past couple of years. But watching him play his parts, and when he switches certain pedals, I've configured it in my head to when certain things are supposed to happen. And so, like, if I see him start to reach for a blues driver pedal, for example, or he reaches over to the chorus, I'm like, okay, here comes the pre-chorus. This is where this part's going to happen. And I can watch Matt's fill pattern as well, or where his cymbals are going, because he has very intricate movements that he does. Like, there'll be a specific tiny like splash sound right here, or a double right click, specific things that if you know what you're looking for, it's like, all right, we're going back into the bridge, we're going into the final chorus kind of thing. So I rely heavily on that. And especially with Austin being a vocalist as well as the bassist, it really helps me too, because him and I are usually always locked in. And when we practice, ever since we started practicing together, Austin and I have always been directly across the room from each other. So we've always been making complete eye contact the whole time.
Interesting.
That sounds really cute.
Looking just deep into each other's eyes. You feeling this? I'm feeling it.
With that.
You got good hair. Oh, no, you.
Yeah.
You gotta go there.
He's like slightly younger than me, so it's like, don't be like me. Be like you. You have good hair, and you have hopes and aspirations. I can train you. I can mold you.
I can make you into what I wanted to be.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my god.
So one thing I was curious about was, and this is specifically for Austin, with one of the video shoots that you did with a previous band, where it was for Incandescent. Are you familiar with what happened with me, why I was in a white polo, and all of the story behind that?
That was a video shoot that I was not as involved in as I should have been.
Mm-hmm.
I rolled up thinking like, all right, hey, we're going to shoot a music video. There's a pool party going on. We're going to order pizzas. It's going to be a thing. And then I show up there, and then like 30 minutes goes by where everyone else is doing something, and I'm like trying to unpack stuff or like keeping the people that are there to help us out with the video happy. And then like this official looking crew of people come back, of all the rest of the band, and like Casey, Tyler, like, and Ethan, and everybody, and they're like, all right, cool. We got a whole plot line, and there's a storyboard, and we're gonna do this thing. And I'm like, okay.
So I got a phone call. I'm sitting on the couch at a friend's house, and I get a phone call from Amanda, and she's just like, "We need you here, and we need you to play a role in this video." And I was like, "I don't want to do that. No, like I'm a drummer. I'm a drummer for a reason. I'm rarely on camera. I don't want to be on camera." And it was like, "Please come on." And I was like, fine. They convinced me, and I went up there, and it was like, "You're in this white polo." There were all these scenes that we like planned out, and that like that we actually shot, like multiple scenes with me speaking and like having lines and all this shit. None of it made it. All of it got thrown away. And so what you see in the video, which we discovered from a previous podcast talking about this, that it's not even really that prominent. They did a really good job cutting all of it out, but all you see is everybody dressed the same in these like Hawaiian shirts, really colorful and everything. And then I'm wearing a white polo and like work pants, because that was what I was supposed to look like. I was coming from work, and I'm so out of place the whole video.
And like you were told to look sad, so like you're just looking. So everyone else is like singing along, like playing with beach balls.
I'm having the worst time of my life. I don't know why I'm there. And
that was the one that's like out in front of a house, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a video when Curtis had introduced me and said, hey, Austin from Boxford is going to come and try out to sing. And I said, which one is he? Is he the pretty one that played bass or the other guy? And he was like, the pretty one that played bass. And I was like, good.
Good.
So it was that video that actually was the translation for him getting into the band. So
wow.
Yeah,
I'm going to jump in here. Austin, my favorite thing about that shoot day was leading up to that video, we had one rule for the band members, and that was wear a yellow Hawaiian shirt.
Oh my fucking god.
And I just remember Amanda has, like, we've talked about this a million times. You see your face right now.
I still have it.
She
is gonna fight you.
her one rule was wear a yellow Hawaiian shirt. And it comes to shoot day, and like everyone's running late, as happens when you shoot music videos, and you show up. And we're like, okay, cool, you got a Hawaiian shirt. You're like, no. You're just like, no. I guess I got to go buy one.
I was shopping the day before and went to like 5 different stores and looked for Hawaiian shirts. And Do you know how weird it is to walk into a store in the middle? Like it was like July, and I was like, "Hey, I'm looking for a Hawaiian shirt," and I'm in like, I think it was Pembroke Mall, and like that place already looks like it's closed all the time.
Ghost Town, Barren Wasteland.
I'm just running around. They're like, "You got Hawaiian shirts?"
You got to go to Walmart, dog.
I gave up. I ended up just getting Chinese food and leaving.
You got to get the Johnny Bahama Easy Dad Rider shirts like that they sell at Walmart for like $8.97. Boom.
The very specific price. Why?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
He has that yellow
Say
Hawaiian
what you
shirt.
Often
You know what
wears
you-
Hawaiian shirts.
Ironically,
doing?
no. I have a pair of lime green Crocs that I got that were also $8.97 from Walmart. So I call them my Gators because they're off-brand.
Crocs are just the worst. And I understand that's an unpopular opinion, but Crocs are
No, they are the worst.
Yours
They
have
are
the
the
spikes
worst,
on the
but I-
bottom?
No,
What?
they're off.
Yours do? Yes, you're.
What kind of Crocs?
Bring
are
me a
you
Croc.
buying? What the?
Do you need her Chacos?
Am I a
Are they
fucking
here?
gladiator?
Are they here?
No, they're not here. What? What do you think they have spikes on the bottom?
Yeah, there's
Am I going
literal.
hiking in them?
It's the punk line.
There's
Croc Martens.
no, not the bottom facing the ground. The bottom facing your
Write that down.
feet.
Write that down.
What? Oh,
What your
you
feet
mean
sit-
the like the
the
okay.
spikes?
I thought you were talking about like like it's touching the ground, and I was like, "What are you
Oh, you mean on,
right now?
in the foot bed?
Where your foot touches.
Yeah, I
Oh,
think you
no,
just
no.
have like a sensory issue.
Yeah, I used to wear Adidas slides as a kid. I used to wear Adidas slides as a kid, and that's like the magic act with like the nail, like the bed
Yeah,
of
it
nails, and
feels
the guy
amazing.
lays on it. Yeah,
No, it feels
Someone's
awful.
fucking with you. There's spikes in the bottoms of your shoes.
you might have plantar fasciitis.
What? Now I
You
feel like
might-
I'm
you
being
need to go to a
punched. What's
doctor.
happening?
I used to be a shoe salesman, a professional shoe salesman. So you very well might have plantar fasciitis.
We'll touch on that in a second. What did you say?
I said someone's got to be fucking with you. There's spikes on the bottoms of your shoe, like where your feet go.
In her Crocs.
Okay, first of all, how dare you talk about my Crocs like that? Second of all, they're not spiked. They're just little. It's so your foot doesn't rub around.
Yeah.
in
What would you call them?
texture?
Spikes.
Traction threads.
Spikes. That's not how this works.
Are they cylinders going up?
Is that how you define a spike? So
Yeah,
then
yeah.
our tits spikes.
Spaghetti
Yeah.
spike.
Campbell soup can spikes.
What Tomb Raider? That's the only titty spike I'll give you.
And
So
those are
can spike.
literal like.
Those are the only ones I'll give you.
Cylindrical or triangular
since
prisms,
we're
like-
shit talking my Crocs, I'm just gonna rewind real quick to that Met music video shoot because that was the most chaotic shit I've ever been a part of in my entire life. I've done several music video shoots, and that shoot alone was like I need Alexa Pro and like I need everything. I specifically remember I went prop shopping with Bree the day of, and I had like laid out. We had the color board. We had all this beautiful like, all right, this person's gonna wear this color. This person's gonna wear this color. It's gonna be fine. Austin shows up, no fucking Hawaiian shirt. It's fine, whatever. We're working with it.
Soiled it.
So then I laid out a bunch of different lays, and I was like, all right, these color tones are going to be for these people. It's fine. Like, amazing. Chef's kiss. And then I go to Walmart to get something for the shoot, and I come back. They're all over the place. Everyone's wearing whatever color. They just grabbed them off the table. And I just remember looking at Ethan, and I was like,
Somebody handed me a shit ton of
It's
Lays,
fine.
and they were like, "Just give these to people."
who is that? I'll fight them.
I'll let you know after.
Please revert back to your diary entry of that time because I'd like to know. But that was it. And also, Crocs are amazing.
Yeah,
So-
they're like
I
wearing
will-
sweatpants and an Applebee's. It's just the epitome of like you've given up. Like
Oh my god.
that's when you become a renegade.
Oh my god. I'm gonna refute that opinion. Like every nurse that I know wears Crocs. If I tell a nurse that they've given
No.
up, I should.
No, I mean, as
Oh my God.
as a 27-year-old man child like myself, if you're wearing Crocs, you know where you're supposed to be. 2 for $20. Invite your grandmammy.
Or on the topic of music videos, I would like to pass it to Matt Francis. We just shot a great music video in the middle of winter with a rollerblading Curtis Allison over there in God, what was he wearing?
A
You would be able
Norfolk
to describe
Admirals hockey jersey and cut off shorts, rollerblades, fingerless gloves,
Hell
a
yeah.
pair of Pit Viper sunglasses.
Hell yeah.
Whoa.
Oh yeah, big money. And I believe that same headscarf he has on right now. It was all black. My mistake.
The rig that Matt Francis had set up on the back of this truck. It was like a crane rig coming out the back. He had some ratchet straps around his hips to keep him in the car, and we're just riding down Granby Street. It feels like it's 20 degrees out, and this dude's in jorts skating, rollerblading down, and the whole city of Norfolk is just feeling it. Like, so many people were like just hyping, cheering on. It was the weirdest music video shoot that I've been a part of. It was a strange time, but it was great. Like, everybody that we saw or passed by was really into it.
Yeah, it started off, I see Matt's like, he's in Reggie's truck bed, and they're backing out of Curtis's driveway, and I just see him like, he has got his harness around his waist and his camera and his crane thing, and I was just like, Matt, do me a favor real quick. Buckle your knees real fast, because once you hit that bump, you'll just fall forward. So I see him like gently buckle down a little bit. Seamless entry. They went through all of like downtown Norfolk. It was a lot of fun. We ended up in Pixels.
Yeah.
They let Curtis rollerblade in and play the arcade on rollerblades.
Wow.
We went in front of a bike store and like kind of blew them off because he's on rollerblades as a joke. And this guy came out and was like, "Y'all good?" And he was like, "Oh, we're just shooting a music video. We're just pretending like, we don't like bikes because we're on rollerblades." And the guy was like, "Hell yeah, that's awesome. Do your thing." And like went back inside and was just like having the time with it. It was so much fun.
I need to
Sounds so
know
beautiful.
where that came from. That idea. Why rollerblading?
I think
Oh,
he did it, so he knows.
So yeah, I can jump in on that. Well, with all of the imagery with like the pandemic and stuff like that we saw in the news and everything, like you guys were talking about earlier, we just kind of didn't know when that kind of stuff was gonna end, and it seemed like the media was like really hype on giving us some kind of like downer imagery. So we were like, what if we go in the opposite? What if we just create this character that's like, I don't know, just a legend in his own mind, and everybody else is like, ugh, that guy. And so we visualized him wearing jorts, a hockey jersey, and pit vipers and all that stuff. And Matt and I were just kind of came up with this idea of like, what if I just rollerblade? And I hadn't been on rollerblades in like 5 years, I think. And the last time I was on like wheels, I almost like killed this kid at the skate rink because I kind of weigh a lot. I'm kind of big. My knee took a hit, and like I really bashed it, and so I hadn't been on wheels since. And but I was like, yeah, we'll just let this rip, and we just thought it would be a really fun idea to use rollerblades because the movie Brink, of course, and inspiration, and just kind of this like, I'm sure somebody or who's just like, I'm the greatest, and you're like, yeah, I guess you are, and that was my character.
You want to share his name?
Rodney Roderick Pike.
Double Rod.
Double Rod.
Yes, sir.
Oh man. Okay.
This character sounds like a bully from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and I'm so fucking
like
for
Bulk
it.
and Skull.
Yeah.
Hell yes. Hell yes.
That's something that's actually been really cool coming out of the pandemic. Also, is music videos are weird.
Oh, they're
Because
great.
people can't just go and play.
There's a bunch of dumb shit that happens in this video. Like we filmed a spot where like he rolls up to Dumars, and they have like a little side tray outside the window of a car with like fries on it, and he walks up and just knocks it off, like completely blows past it. It was his wife, but we was playing. But it was like a bunch of just silly things that we were doing, like he was like doing like a strip dance on the stop sign pole for a second. There's like a little snippet of that, and then him doing like some just hockey like strolls and things, and just chugging a Dumars, O'Doul's, excuse me, an O'Doul's non-alcoholic beer and spitting it back out in front of the Narrow. It was just a bunch of dumb shit that you would look at this guy and just be like, I know who you are.
But that dude lives
we
off
all
of
have
it.
one of you. Yeah,
He lives off of the like everybody disliking him. He's like, yep,
Exactly.
I know I'm weird. I'm different. Those are the best and the worst people.
yeah. Like drives.
It's like I'm gonna
87
take inspiration from you, but I want to be nothing like
Yeah,
you.
we're gonna
Yeah.
vibe, or I'm gonna hate you.
drives like an 87 Firebird and has one of those like aluminum can trailers out in the middle of the desert, and he just like rolls out, and he's still wearing the same clothes that you've always seen him in. he sleeps in his rollerblades, like glasses always stay on, like that kind of conversation.
Oh my god.
I when is this video coming out? Good question.
You heard it here first, folks.
To be determined.
How will we? How you know what? Right now. You don't have to listen to me, but I'm just
Just drop it.
do not listen to my advice, but you should just drop it right this second, and then we can say you heard it here first, even though this episode doesn't come out for a while. Yeah, are we live? No. So it's completely pointless.
It might be out.
It might be out by the time we this episode comes out. We'll see. If it is, go check it out. If not, definitely still at least check out Crystal Clear, the single. So pretty good time to wrap it up. Want to know if you guys have any last points, anything you want to throw out there, plug?
I want to give a huge shout out to Mr. Big Reg himself over there. This guy has been a huge part of how much media we've been able to create and just how dedicated of a person he is. Like, with the amount of photography and video work that he's done, like, he comes to every single one of our practices. This dude is more dedicated than I would say most members of a lot of bands are. And I want to plug Big Reg for just amazing photography and just being an overall great person.
Can we get a full room round of applause? That worked really well. Thank you, everybody, for not leaving me hanging. Anything else you guys want to plug?
I just want to also say thank you to the other contributing factors for the guys and the people in their lives in the back. Austin has a lovely partner named Shay, who has been incredibly sweet and welcomes us into her home every Wednesday or Thursday, depending on if we're doing a movie night. In that same respect, Curtis's wife, Corey, has been an absolute rock for everything, for every single practice, every single show opportunity, every risk, every, this has to happen for this moment. She's always supported us and been right there for Curtis and I, making us, the occasional pot stickers if we need it, or just being there to give us her opinion musically on things. And it's really sweet. And his kids are probably two of my best friends. He's got a 3-year-old named Big Bear and an 11-year-old just turned 11 named Zoe, and she's incredibly smart. They both love our music, and it makes me feel good knowing that if I can capitalize on touching, not musically touching. Let me save that for real quick before that ends up on soundboard. If I can emotionally touch somebody with music at that age, as well as people in our age group, it makes me feel like I've already accomplished all I need to do musically. So anything else that might happen is just I'm along for the road for it, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So I just want to say thank you to those people.
Yeah, wow, what a phenomenal answer to that question. That's
real quick, everyone.
Best one.
When you leave here today, or when you stop watching this, go give that special someone in your life, all the props and love that they deserve.
Absolutely.
Go give them a very, very COVID safe hug.
Ducky and Bogart are Matt's cats, and they're very beautiful.
Yeah, you need to go love on
and
your
hug
pets.
the cats or dogs, whatever pets you got. Really, hug them
Austin
all.
can't do all of that,
Unless they don't like hugs,
because he's got allergies.
I've learned that I'm allergic to cats.
I'm so sorry.
As an adult, I've developed a severe cat allergy, and it's horribly depressing. But I'm not allergic to dogs.
Is it? Are you doing all right? Wait, the cats are upstairs, and I
I'm fine
disinfected
now.
and stuff.
I start allergy shots next week.
Okay, solid. Well, on that allergy shot note, thank you everybody for tuning in. Thank you guys so much for being here.
Thank you.
Definitely check out the single Crystal Clear, Longsleeves. Thank you guys so much.